It is time for Weather Geeks here on this Friday evening. It's the 23rd day of February. We're getting set for the final weekend of February, and we've got a lot to keep track of this weekend. Most of it, of course, is dealing with the rain. We have no snow to concern ourselves with anytime in the next 6 days. May change a little bit towards next weekend, but in the meantime, pardon me, rain is the story. Now, we had a little bit of rain from time to time today. Actually got a little bit heavy for a time down in parts of Columbiana County. I'll show you the radar loop in a second, but for the most part, our 24-hour rainfall total is pretty modest here. Over the last 24 hours, generally a tenth to up to maybe 2/10 of an inch worth of rain in some spots. Now, I mentioned that the rain was briefly heavy for a time this morning. Check this out, right around 10:30 or so. East Palestine, Lisbon, Salineville, East Liverpool, Wellsville all had some moderate rain for a time, but that was the exception. The rule was light rain and drizzle here and there. It was kind of a foggy start to the day. So the good news is it warmed up today. We got up into the upper 50s this afternoon, so at least it's not cold outside. Flood watches remain up for Mercer, Lawrence, and Columbiana counties. They will be in effect through the rest of the weekend, and there's a large chunk of real estate covered by flood watches, stretching from roughly the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex all the way over towards Williamsport, PA. That's about 1,200 miles worth of flood watches, with a lot of flood warnings mixed in as well. The flood warnings are in the brighter green colors. All right, our next round of rain is starting to get a little more organized out here. This is what's tracking to the north and east and will impact parts of our region as we go into the first half of the weekend tomorrow. So let's talk about the weekend rain. All right, so a little bit of drizzle tonight. Now tomorrow I think there can be some heavy rain for a time roughly around I-70 and points south. And really, once you're up into our viewing area, I think the overall intensity of the rain's pretty light tomorrow. Kind of comparable to today. It may come in a few waves, may see one around midday here, and then as we get into the afternoon, might try to let up for a little while, might try to drizzle a little bit. You know, I'm not real concerned about heavy rain locally tomorrow. It's tomorrow night, as our warm front pushes in, that we have a better chance of seeing some heftier downpours, maybe around midnight, 1, 2 in the morning. The rain could come down at a pretty good clip at this point, and that may result in some pretty fast accumulations of rain and increase our flooding threats across eastern Ohio and western PA. And then one more residual band of showers right along or just ahead of our cold front around mid-morning on Sunday. Now, even though that front pushes through, I still think it's a pretty nice afternoon on Sunday. Temperatures will slowly glide backwards once we get past noon, 1 o'clock, but before that glide begins, it'll be around 60, 61 degrees. On Sunday, it may end up being a little sunnier than our model shows here Sunday afternoon. And speaking of sunshine in abundance first half of next week as high pressure builds in from the west. All right, rivers are running high across a lot of the region. Everywhere where you see a yellow dot here, that's a river that's running high. Orange colors indicating minor flood stage, and certainly out towards central Ohio you have some rivers like that. But yeah, a lot of yellow dots here. A lot of rivers are running high because it's been a pretty wet couple of weeks. Let's talk about how much rain to expect this weekend. Now, this is for the Youngstown Warren Airport in Trumbull County, but I think this is fairly representative of kind of the northern two-thirds of our viewing area, Mahoning, Trumbull, Mercer counties. I think from now through Sunday, you can count on an inch to an inch and a half worth of rain. Pretty good model agreement. Not a big spread in our lines right there. So pretty good model agreement. Now, that's for the northern two-thirds. When we get down towards East Liverpool and Wellsville, Calcutta, you start to see some higher amounts down here. And let me bring that back so it's not rotating on you. You're probably looking at an inch and a half to perhaps up to 2 inches as an average. The European model remains, the purple line there, remains kind of an outlier on the high side. I can't rule out some of those higher totals, but I think an inch and a half, maybe an inch and 3/4 or so will be a pretty good average once you get down towards the Ohio River in the southern part of our viewing area. Now, when it comes to impacts from the rivers rising, this is the Ohio River at East Liverpool, expected to crest Monday right around midday at 14.5 feet. Now, when the river gets up to 14 feet, typically that means we see water covering low spots near the concrete factory on River Road, a state road near the Ralston Railroad crossing. If the river were to get as high as 16 feet, that means water would flood portions of River Road below the U.S. Route 30 bridge. So that's if we get up to 16 feet. Again, the forecast right now is for 14.5 feet. There's been some scuttlebutt online, on Facebook and things like that about this being comparable to 2004. Don't think that's true at all. 2004, the river crested up at 21 feet. With the remnants of, I believe it was Hurricane Ivan pushing through. We're not expecting that. At most, this is probably 15, 16 feet. Now, if we were to get some heavy bands of rain, and if the rain in southern Ohio causes the river to swell upstream towards East Liverpool more than currently expected, we could be talking about some higher totals, but right now that seems like an unlikely scenario. There's always a worst case scenario. There's always a 2% chance of something happening, but that doesn't mean that we should be advertising that that's what we think is going to happen, because it's not what we think is going to happen. We think it'll be a minor to moderate flood situation around the river in East Liverpool. Now over towards Wellsville, we're expecting a crest of 12.5 feet, 7 o'clock in the morning on Monday, when the river in Wellsville area gets up to 11 feet. Parking lot of the marina outside of the river wall begins to flood. If we were to get up to 14 feet, we'd be talking about possible basement flooding on Wells Avenue at the north end of town. Again, currently 12.5 feet, the forecast crest there. Up in Trumbull County, another flood-prone spot here is in Leavittsburg for the Mahoning River. Right now running at 7.72 feet, a crest of 10.2 feet Monday, very early, just after midnight. And if we were to get up to 10 feet, what that typically means for that region means lowland flooding near Leavittsburg is a possibility. So we'll be keeping a close eye on this throughout the weekend. Make sure you're checking in often on the Storm Tracker 21 app, on our TV newscasts, of course, and on WFMJ.com. Andrew and AJ will have you covered throughout the weekend. Just a quick reminder, chances are if you're watching this video, you're weather savvy enough that you don't need a reminder like this. But, we're always a little bit surprised by people getting caught in floodwaters. If you do find yourself in a flood-prone area and are trying to drive through a road that may be covered, don't forget, it doesn't take much water to move your car. Fast-moving water. It only takes a foot of fast-moving water to carry away a small car. 18 to 24 inches of fast-moving water can carry away large vehicles. So, this is something we talk about a lot in the springtime, but even though it's still winter, we're in a situation that we could have some high water on the roads. All right, much anticipated pattern change coming at the end of next week and beyond. Still pretty warm next week. I mean, it looks really beautiful Monday and Tuesday. The sun will be out, be in the 50s, pretty close to 60 on Wednesday. And then at the end of next week and into the following weekend and beyond, slowly but surely, we're going to see the blues and greens. These are cooler than average temperatures oozing across the country, so that by the time we get to about the 9th, 10th of March, a lot of the lower 48 states are covered by cool anomalies, with the warmth compared to average centered more up towards Greenland and into Atlantic Canada and up towards Hudson Bay. So there's a lot of winter left. I've been kind of singing this song for a while now. A lot of people are asking me, is winter over? Are we done with snow? And never, ever, ever before February is through would I say, yeah, we're all clear, we're done. We live in a place that we can see snow all the way into March. And again, I've been kind of reiterating that last February was the warmest on record, and then we had 20 inches of snow in the month of March. So March can be a snowy month. It even snows around here into parts of April. Usually it isn't much. It has a hard time sticking, but it can snow in April. Hope you have a good weekend, everyone. I'll see you back here on Monday evening. We're on time tonight. The Olympic coverage ends at 11. So hope you'll tune in tonight on 21 News at 11 o'clock.